A surge of light burst from Aria's chest, washing over the labyrinth. Every twisted reflection in the walls flickered, shifting from grotesque parodies to fragments of her true self, laughing as a child, sketching freely, running without shame. The keeper howled, clawing at its cracking body. No, truth is not yours to wield. But Aria's reflection stepped forward, glowing brighter, merging into her. Two halves becoming one. It was never yours, she said, her voice ringing like steel. The journal in Aria's arms blazed with fire. Words lifted from the pages, swirling in the air like ribbons of light. It tricked me. It wasn't her. It wants us all, but instead of fear, the words carried strength now, turned into a weapon by truth. The keeper stumbled, its body shattering like a mirror struck by a hammer. Shards flew, dissolving into smoke. Its roar faded into the mist until nothing remained but silence. Aria collapsed to her knees, gasping. Her reflection was gone because she no longer needed it. She was whole. The labyrinth stilled. The shifting corridors straightened into a single path, glowing faintly ahead. The exit. But before she could move, the journal's final page tore itself free, hovering before her. New words scorched themselves into the parchment as if written by invisible hands. The debt is not ended. The keeper is gone, but the mirror remains. One guardian must always stand between worlds. Aria's stomach twisted. The mirror wasn't destroyed. It had simply passed the burden. And now the guardian was her. Light swallowed the labyrinth. The mist peeled back, corridors dissolving into nothing, until Aria stood once more before the mirror's rippling surface. The journal in her hands pulsed with heat, then stilled, its pages blank now, as though its story had been absorbed into her. With a steady breath, she stepped forward. The world snapped back into place. Aria staggered into her bedroom, collapsing onto the floor. Her chest heaved, every muscle aching, but the air smelled like home, dust, old wood, the faint scent of rain drifting through her open window. Except it wasn't the same. She crawled to the mirror. Its surface was calm, but behind the glass faint shapes drifted, whispers of shadows still circling. And when she looked at her reflection, there was no trace of the boy she once saw. Only Aria, whole and unbroken, stared back. Her lips trembled. For the first time, she smiled at her own reflection. Then a knock shattered the moment. "Alex," Aunt Margaret's voice. Aria froze. Panic surged through her veins. She hadn't thought this far, how to explain her changed voice, her changed face. "Dinner's ready," Margaret called. Aria swallowed, glancing at the door. "Coming," she said softly. Her voice, her real voice, rang out, clear and undeniable. There was a pause. Margaret's footsteps retreated. Aria slumped against the bed, clutching the journal. She wasn't ready to face her aunt, not yet. But she couldn't ignore what the final page had declared. She was the mirror's guardian now. And the mirror was restless. The next day, Willow Creek felt different. As Aria walked to the antique shop, people glanced at her longer than usual, their eyes lingering as though they sensed something they couldn't name. Reflections in store windows shimmered faintly as she passed, ripples spreading like a stone dropped into water. At the shop, Mr. Whitlock frowned at her. "You look familiar," he murmured, squinting. Aria forced a smile. "I guess I have one of those faces." But when she glanced at the oval mirror in the corner, her blood ran cold. It was glowing faintly. Not just her own mirror, others in town were awakening too. As she stared, the surface rippled, and a clawed hand pressed faintly against the glass before vanishing. The keeper was gone. But the shadows weren't. And now, they had more than one doorway. Aria clutched the journal tighter, her pulse racing. She was no longer just fighting for herself. The whole town of Willow Creek was in danger. And she was the only one standing between them and the mirror's world. That night, Aria sat by her bedroom mirror with the journal propped open, though its pages remained stubbornly blank. The silence pressed in heavy, broken only by the occasional groan of the old house settling. But when the clock struck midnight, the air shifted. The mirror pulsed once, like a heartbeat. A whisper curled through the room. "Another door opens." Aria's skin prickled. She scrambled to her feet, shoving the journal into her bag. She didn't know how she knew where to go, only that the pull in her chest guided her like a compass. She slipped out the back door and hurried down Willow Creek's quiet streets. The trail led her to the small chapel at the edge of town. Its stained glass windows glowed faintly under the moonlight, though the building had been closed for years. Aria's pulse spiked. She already knew what she would find inside. The chapel's wooden door creaked open with a push. Inside, dust coated the pews and cobwebs laced the rafters. But at the front, mounted behind the altar, hung a tall, narrow mirror, and it was alive. The glass rippled like liquid, shadows clawing at its surface from the inside. Cracks split across the frame as if something massive was trying to force its way through. Aria's breath caught. Not here. Not them. The journal in her bag vibrated, a faint warmth against her side. She pulled it free, flipping through until new words began to scrawl themselves across the blank page. A guardian cannot destroy the doors. Only seal them with truth. Speak what is hidden, and the cracks will close. The shadows inside the chapel mirror surged, their claws punching through the glass. One hand, then another. Their eyes blazed as they hissed, ready to pour into the chapel. Aria's chest tightened. She stumbled back, her voice trembling. I don't know what to say. Her reflection flickered in the shards forming on the floor, her voice calm but urgent. Then speak what you've always hidden. What you're still afraid of. Aria clenched her fists. Her secret wasn't her name anymore. It was the fear of being seen, of not being believed, of being erased. She lifted her chin and shouted into the chapel. I am not a mistake. I am not your silence. I am me, and I'm not hiding anymore. Light burst from the journal, slamming into the mirror. The cracks sealed in an instant, the claws withdrawing with a furious screech. The glass froze solid, returning to a lifeless reflection. Aria fell to her knees, chest heaving. The journal cooled, its pages fading back to blank. For now, the door was sealed. But she knew it was only the first. The shadows would test every mirror in Willow Creek. And she was only one girl standing against them all. The chapel was silent again, but Aria couldn't shake the sound of the shadow's last hiss. It hadn't been a cry of defeat. It had sounded, almost like laughter. She left quickly, clutching the journal to her chest. The streets of Willow Creek were empty, but every reflective surface she passed, the windows of shuttered shops, the glass of parked cars, gave off faint ripples. Watching her. By the time she reached home, dawn was breaking. Her aunt was already in the kitchen, coffee mug in hand. Margaret looked up, eyes narrowing. You're out late again, she said. Or early. Which is it? Aria hesitated, tugging her hoodie tighter. Couldn't sleep. Margaret studied her for a long moment before sighing. You're changing, Alex. I don't know how, but I see it. You'll have to tell me the truth one day. Aria froze. The words stung, not as an accusation, but as an opening. She wanted to answer, to say my name is Aria, but fear held her tongue. She wasn't ready. Not yet. That night, the mirror pulsed again. Aria braced herself, journal ready. But this time, instead of a single location pulling her, 3 different tugs pulled at her chest, north, west, and south. She gasped. 3 doors? At once. The reflection flickered faintly in her mirror, looking worn, her edges fraying like static. They're learning. They know truth seals them, so now they spread faster. They'll overwhelm you if you hesitate. Aria's stomach twisted. I can't be everywhere. The reflection's voice lowered. Then you'll have to choose. And whichever door you leave unguarded will open. Aria sprinted through the town, following the strongest pull. It led her to the laundromat on Main Street. Inside, the long row of washers and dryers glowed faintly. Their glass windows rippled as shadows pressed from inside, ready to claw free. She flipped open the journal, but no words appeared. Come on, she hissed. Tell me what to say. The shadows burst through, not fully, but just enough to lash at her with black tendrils. She cried out, ducking behind a machine. Her reflection's voice echoed in the glass of a nearby dryer. It won't feed you words this time. They've adapted. Only your own truth can hold them back now. Aria's chest heaved. Her throat burned. What truth hadn't she said yet? The tendrils wrapped around her ankle, yanking hard. She fell, slamming against the tiled floor. Tears stung her eyes. And then it hit her. She had admitted her name, admitted she wasn't hiding anymore, but deep down, she still carried the fear that no one would ever accept her. Her voice cracked as she screamed into the laundromat. I am real, whether anyone believes me or not. The tendrils recoiled instantly, writhing in pain. The mirrors on the machines cracked, then sealed shut. One by one, the portals flickered out until the laundromat was still again. Aria collapsed to her knees, shaking. She'd sealed this door, but what about the other two she couldn't reach? The journal finally stirred, writing itself in sharp strokes. 2 doors unsealed. The shadows walk. By the time Aria stumbled out of the laundromat, dawn was only an hour away. The streets of Willow Creek, usually quiet, felt wrong, too still, too heavy, as though the whole town was holding its breath. The journal in her hands burned with fresh ink. 2 doors unsealed. The shadows walk. Aria's stomach knotted. She could already feel it. The air seemed colder, every corner of town dripping with unease. Street lamps flickered. Windows reflected too many shapes. She ran toward the library, hoping Margaret might still be there shelving the late returns, but stopped dead in her tracks when she saw it. A shadow, tall and lanky, detached itself from the reflection of a storefront window. Its body shimmered with fractured glass, claws scraping along the pavement. It wasn't just inside the mirror anymore. It was here. Aria's breath caught. Oh no. The creature's head snapped toward her. Dozens of glowing eyes blinked across its surface, and its voice scraped like broken glass. Guardian. Aria bolted. She darted down side streets, heart pounding, the shadow's claws clattering against the pavement as it gave chase. Every window she passed rippled with more movement, smaller shadows pressing against the glass, ready to slip through. She ducked into the alley beside the hardware store, chest burning. For a moment, silence. Then a whisper in her ear, though no one was there. You cannot seal what is already free. Her reflection flickered faintly in the puddle at her feet, her face grim. They're in the world now. The rules have changed. The truth binds the mirrors, but once they walk, only power can banish them. Aria's throat tightened. What power? Her reflection hesitated. The Keeper's death gave it to you. But only if you accept it fully. Before Aria could ask what that meant, the shadow lunged into the alley. Its claws scraped the brick walls, sparks flying. Aria gripped the journal tight, her fear and anger boiling together. I'm not afraid of you. The shadow hissed, striking down. Instinct took over. Aria thrust her hand forward, and light burst from her palm, sharp, blinding, like shards of pure glass exploding outward. The shadow shrieked as the light ripped through its body, shattering it into fragments that dissolved into smoke. Aria staggered, staring at her trembling hand. She had done it. She had destroyed one. But the journal flipped open on its own, words etching across the page like a warning. One is gone. Many remain. And the more they walk, the hungrier they become. Aria's chest heaved. She wasn't just a guardian anymore. She was a hunter. And Willow Creek had just become a battlefield.